thanks to our partners at Mountain. Mark Douglas and his team are really innovating in really interesting ways, and we're going to talk about measurement and creative and effectiveness and all of that great stuff as it pertains to connected TV. So first, quick show of hands. Who do we have in the room from this big, beautiful brand marketing ecosystem? Agency, brand. Oh, lots of brands. Love to see it. Platforms.
So there were no agencies?
I didn't see any agency. We had one agency.
Okay.
And we're going to make this interactive as well. So as you eat, think of some questions and we'll walk away with some great insights. All right, Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about it. What's sort of the future state as Mountain sees it in connected TV and where are we going?
Well, actually, I usually don't say but I actually live in Miami, so Mountain is fully remote. It's about 500 people. We never went back to offices after the pandemic, and I moved to Miami. So I rode my bicycle, not my motorcycle, my bicycle. I do have a Vespa also. 6 minutes to get here. And so it's nice to have everyone come to my current hometown. And the food in Miami has been getting better. I actually thought it wasn't that good for a long time. But even the hotel lunches are getting better. I thought this was actually pretty good. I ate a little while ago. Yeah. So welcome. So welcome to Miami. That's what I wanted to say.
Good.
And so back to your question.
Yeah. So where are we with connected TV? What's the current state, and what are you guys doing looking into 2024?
Yeah. So I mean, I think what's happening in connect. So I remember like when mobile came on, and everyone wanted to split out mobile and say how much mobile commerce, and then it just became commerce. It's just it's commerce, and people buy stuff on phones. I think we're starting to enter the phase where connected TV is just TV. I don't think we're quite there. Maybe as we get into next year, where people are not like, well, this is my connected TV budget, and this is my linear TV. It's just, this is television. And so I think that is great. It's great for my company because we only work on connected TV because we're very data driven and we get so much more data from connected TV. But I think that's a big deal. I think that's probably going to lead towards less emphasis on upfronts. And from what I'm aware of, this year was the longest upfront, meaning the slowest upfront in history, which is kind of maybe some validation that if you can buy television digitally, essentially, on connected TV, then why am I committing to it, quarters in advance?
Yeah.
As opposed to, on demand. Not only the consumer gets it on demand, so does the advertiser. And that's actually been my view. When we started Mountain, we launched our platform. So just to give you an idea of what Mountain does. So our goal is to democratize television advertising. And so we started by bringing long-tail advertisers into the market. And so we bring small and mid-sized businesses. We work with larger companies also, but really direct response marketers that have big focus on paid search and paid social, but had never really accessed television. That's where, because they didn't have the targeting and the measurement, and the creative was very expensive, and they weren't going to do upfronts, and that's why I asked if there's an agency room, and the agencies wanted huge commitments and things like that. And we would let's just solve all those problems. And then it turns out, well, even large brands are like, well, I don't want to spend a ton of money on, I don't want to spend $15K on an ad for TikTok and $500,000 on somewhat of the same ad, but for television. I want both of them, the costs to come down so I can do more advertising. I can build more creative. So that was our goal. And what's starting to happen with our company is we're seeing more and more larger brands want a lot of those same capabilities, more on-demand advertising, as well as basically they can access the market without having to make these big upfront commitments anymore.
Right, and that is a fact. This was the longest upfront. Adweek published a story earlier this week on that, and you had new entrants like Netflix and like Disney Plus, which are now ad supported, but they're not ABC, NBC, and Fox
Right.
for sure. So talk a little bit about, if you can, how the ad spend is aligning with viewership across connected platforms.
Well, I think the estimates I'm hearing is that maybe connected TV has crossed the 25% of the total budgets. Viewership is above 50%. Half of all television viewers watch using some connected TV device, the phone, tablet, computer, or on the big screen, Samsung, LG, or any of these big screens. So it's still lagging, but the gap is closing, and I think the closing of it is accelerating, mainly because there's less emphasis on the placement and more emphasis on the consumer, reaching the right consumer. The real big shift is not the medium. I think for the consumer it is. The medium, it's on demand, it's anywhere I go, things like that. The real shift is from picking the shows you want to advertise or the networks to picking the consumers you want to reach. Mm-hmm. And that's been true for digital advertising. All digital advertising has been audience first. And now the TV advertising is starting to catch up to that. Mount is entirely audience first. That's kind of, that catching up is just going to force more and more budgets to go more and more streaming by just automatically almost.
Yeah, so as we saw by the show of hands, it's mostly a brand audience in here. This is Brand Week, makes sense. What do they need to know about how, if they're not already in it, to get in it?
So I think the big thing is you can do advertising on connected TV but you can execute that in the same way you did linear TV advertising, in which case you lose data because there's not a moment in time to measure against, right? You can't say, well, it aired at 2 p.m. and I saw all this activity post 2 p.m. In streaming, you could just measure. Someone saw the ad, and in their household, we saw devices in their household reach out to our brand or walk into you buy something in a store. You can measure store visits. You can measure store purchases for all these brands that collect email addresses and phone numbers. When you buy something, that's pretty easy to match up to. Well, we streamed ads into that home at that time. So if you do streaming advertising in the same way as linear, you'd be better off doing linear because at least if you're doing measurement, you can do time-based measurement. So I think the important thing is if you need more data, you should be doing streaming. That's kind of the bottom line. Okay. And if data is important to you, then you should not do apply a linear methodology to a streaming ad. Because again, you'd lose the moment in time to measure against. So on streaming, you'd have 3 people in the same house watch the exact same show at the exact same moment in time. They're all seeing 3 different ads. So there's just no broadcast mechanism whatsoever on streaming. So you can only measure that digitally. There's no way to say, well, the moment in time.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about this, but talk a little bit more about how CTV is already sort of influencing, enhancing outcomes on like paid search, paid social.
Yeah, you can think of, it's interesting. Mountain, our customer base is predominantly direct-to-consumer brands. We're starting to get more brand advertisers who want to operate a bit more in a direct-to-consumer type way. And so it's a lot of e-commerce, it's a lot of travel, kind of subscription services and things like that. And so they kind of see it initially as incremental to search and social. So they're spending all this money on search, then all this money on social, then they're like, oh, wait, now I can do television, so I can create these budgets for TV. So we introduced incrementality reporting earlier this year. I'm mentioning this for a reason, which is this is how we're incremental your search and social budgets. But then my team had created, I'm like, why is the report showing how we're incremental to Meta? Why don't we show how Meta can be incremental to television? Mm-hmm. And because television is more brand safe, it's more impactful. The ads are longer. They're generally 30 seconds. For the ads on Meta are, if they're video ads, are generally less than 30 seconds. So right now, I think the mindset is definitely like, okay, I can add this add to my direct response budgets on those channels, but I'm determined to make it the other. It's like at some point in time, I'm sure, like Sheryl Sandberg at Meta wasn't going, let's keep showing how we're incremental to my former employer. Like, let's flip this around and have it that let's show how Meta is more effective than search, right? And I think TV has a very good argument to make there, especially against social. The mediums are kind of the same. It's a discovery channel. Like, search, you typed in what you want to buy, and then they take their fee on your path to buying it, right? And whereas with Meta and with TV and Mountain, it's like you're discovering new products. It's actually a lot harder to do than search because you have, like, who's going to be interested? Like, we have a customer, One Wheel. They're my favorite customer right now. One Wheel, if you live in Manhattan, you've probably seen it. It's these skateboards on one wheel, and you just, somehow they stay balanced, and you're just kind of risking your life, essentially. And I was talking to CMO, and he's like, yeah, we want to find 10,000 new customers in the next 2 years. And I'm like, that's a hard problem. Like, how am I going to find 10,000 people who want to risk their life on your skateboard? So they're my favorite customer right now. That okay, this is harder than search, right? Like because people have to discover this and see the commercial and be like, I want to do that. Right. And luckily they create a video where you're doing it on a beach. I'm like, okay, that's bad. That
fall into the sand.
That's bad. Fall in the sand rather than fall in concrete.
Yeah. Where are they at? Can I ask?
We're just getting started. Just became a customer.
We'll come back in 2 years.
Yeah, we'll come back. I'm determined to if I can make that work for them, make it work for anyone.
Yeah. That's a good success story.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the audience engagement piece of this. Other clients you might have worked with where you're seeing how impactful CTV is for them.
Clarify audience.
On a viewer being able to engage with that ad in a way where it drives purchase, it drives.
Yeah. So the way we measure right now is that when we stream into the home, we know the household IP address of the home, and then any device on that Wi-Fi network, it's pretty easy to track that they went and visited that brand. We're starting to test things like QR codes and other vehicles watermarked through the ad. The engagement levels are high. They're on a level, whether it's like through an active engagement like a QR code or what you can think of a little more passive where you just see the ad and you just pull out your phone and go visit the brand. Engagement levels are pretty similar to like paid social and non-branded search. Branded search is where you type the name of a brand in and then someone clicks and basically you pay Google to buy your trademark back. And then the non-branded search is, they present other links and you go and click one of those. So the levels on TV are pretty high, and I think Google and Meta have over a 10-year head start on, Google has a 20-year head start on targeting, and Meta has over a 10-year head start on us on targeting. And even with that head start, the just raw effectiveness of television as a medium, we're able to get performance on a level with search and social. So as the targeting keeps improving through, not generative AI, but through large learning models, through all those kinds of, the biggest part of our engineering team is on targeting. I think television as a medium can definitely outperform social and continue to be at the level of search, if not surpass it. So when we first launched, we were so shocked by the response rates on the ads that we thought the data was wrong. And we wound up like, no, this is just a really television continues to just be a really powerful medium that consumers respond to.
Yeah. Any questions from you guys as we kind of continue the conversation here?
one in the back there.
Got one back here. We're going to have a mic come around just so we have it for the recording. Thank you.
I didn't know you were putting this out. I just bashed and I'm teasing.
It's not live. It's recorded. Not live. Make that clear.
Google and men know I want to compete with them. So.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I think it's on.
Yeah. I'm Priya from Fidelity Investments Canada, and you mentioned about QR code. Do you have any user case for how effective it has been? Because we are considering using QR codes and connected TV to drive lead gen. So,
Yeah.
do you have any examples?
I don't yet. We literally are just starting testing it like Monday of next week.
Okay.
So, but my email address is mark@mountain.com, and I'd be happy to share data with you.
Sure.
So
I'll
just reach
definitely
out, and we'll share information with you.
Sure. Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good. Holiday season's coming up, so the planning and the buying is happening now. What do the folks in the room need to know about those plans and what CTV can do?
I think the key thing for CTV, so the way the CTV market works is it's a waterfall. And I'm talking about pricing. So at the top of the waterfall is like bundles that you did for linear and CTV through your agency directly with the TV network. Then there's what's called private marketplace, and then there's open market. And there's this common thought that, well, prices go up in Q4, they only go up open market. So so it's really imperative from a price perspective that you don't have to do like these long upfronts, but before you hit the Christmas season, because now you're competing with all these retailers, is that you kind of have really not only purchased, but you've done some kind of PMP deal, and so you can lock in reasonable prices, because the open market will definitely go up, but the rest of the market won't at all. So that's one piece of advice. The other is when you build creative, we have if you're direct response oriented, you want people to take an action, you want them to go in a store, you want them to go to your site, you have to tell them to do that. And I think so often when creative is built for television, people get so focused on how fun and sexy the ad is, they forget to well, what's the call to action, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at someone like Geico, every ad ends with arguably one of the most well-known taglines in the history of advertising. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more in your car insurance. Like, it's there for a reason. It actually works. We also watermark your URL. People may not know how to spell, your URL if you want them to go to your site. There's all this space in the ad, and again, everyone's so focused on the creativity that's well, why can't I put, use corners of this ad or especially the bottom corners to tell people what I want them to do. So those are those are really simple best practices, more versions. One thing I think people have learned over the last few years, everyone thinks the US is one big market, but they don't think of Europe that way, right? Because Europe has different languages and different cultures. Well, it turns out US has different cultures too. And so you can do different voiceovers on the same creative, run different, which may increase your response rates in certain regions. So it's and if you tell your creative agency up front, look, this is what we agreed upon, but I want 5 versions with 5 different, I want a Boston accent or a New York accent, and I want a Southern accent, and I want a California accent, and you tell them up front, they won't, you could probably get that done for the same cost, but if you don't tell them up front, then all of a sudden, oh, well, that's going to be a whole nother campaign, and we're going to have to double the price. So these are all just really simple best practices that, because we measure all this, do have a pretty big impact on the response rates to your ads, and I highly, highly recommend them.
Yeah. Got a question over here.
Hi, Wes Fries from iSpot. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I have a question on your activation. So are you making direct buys? Have you built a DSP? Are you using a DSP? Help us understand how the activation piece happens.
Yeah,
and also I'd be interested about the reporting.
Awesome. So you can think, we're not a DSP in the sense of you generally think of a DSP as a platform for media buyers and large agencies, but we have a full programmatic bidding platform. It's just the media buy is fully automated. So our end user is a marketer in the brand themselves. We do work with agencies, and that's actually a pretty big growing channel for it. It's generally more performance agencies. And so even there, it's more like the account manager is our end user as opposed to what you think of as a media buyer. And their goal is outcomes. I like to say there's actually two ad industries. One sells ads and one sells outcomes. The one that sells outcomes is like Google, Mountain, Meta, Amazon. The one that sells ads is the rest of the television market, billboards and things like that. So we have a full programmatic platform, fully automated, no people involved. All the decisioning, even what you bid to buy the ads, is fully automated. The end user puts their goal in, not their bid in. And then we bid accordingly. We have direct deals with every television network in America. So we have PMP deals with all content sources, wherever there's ad-supported television, what we call living room quality content, like true episodic programming, sit down and watch TV. We have deals with all those TV networks with the exception of Netflix right now, who's done deals with no one yet. And on the reporting side, reporting looks like, it doesn't literally look, but it's similar to what you would see if you were looking at reporting in Meta. It's how many ads were streamed, how many visits did you have to your brand, what percentage of those visits turned into purchases or lead forms or whatever is your end goal. If it was a purchase, how much did they spend? So it's a full funnel of that. So we have customers that they're not doing the purchase tracking, but they still want to track. And we have in beta right now store visit tracking, where we stream the ads and you can measure against purchases that occurred in the store. So think of it as everyone knows Luma partner. They put out LumaScape. Terry, the founder of Luma, I gave him a demo of our platform I gave him like the week before COVID lockdowns, actually. It was in New York. And he immediately said, this is like AdWords for television. That we don't describe it that way, but that's the way to think about it. It's like full, performance digital marketing, but now for TV. And all of the capabilities you would expect within one platform.
Got one up here.
So all of our customers have tracking pixels. So the question was, how do you track to the purchase level? And all of our customers have tracking pixels live. This is super common for any direct-to-consumer brand. So we connect the visit to the TV because it's on the same network. Once you visit the brand, just conversion pixels will tell you if they purchased or not. The brand essentially feeds directly in our platform every purchase made on the brand, and then we connect that to the visit. This is all pretty standard. It's unique for TV in that Mountain is doing it, but I wouldn't claim like that is like patentable. We just brought digital marketing techniques to television. There's a lot of technology, especially the fully automated media buy is very unique to Mountain in the television space. But the conversion, tracking conversions, that's not new technology. I mean, Google has been doing that for 2 decades. But now we're doing it for television. We're also integrating like Google Analytics. We're the only television platform where you can go in Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, and you can your television shows up as search, social, television, email, like all of these channels, and TV is now one of them. So, and it's all because of our focus on performance advertising, whatever your definition of performance is.
You touched on the creative piece of this, and I'm going to go there, the topic of the year. Where do you see generative AI used in the creative process to create those 7 different spots for the 7 different regions of the United States?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting topic. So first, the single biggest problem we had early on is because we were bringing new brands into the television market, they literally did not have TV commercials. And so we had to figure out, well, how do we lower the cost? So we acquired a company called QuickFrame, which you could think of as like Uber for creative. So QuickFrame doesn't create commercials, they connect the brand with a network of creators who were used to creating commercials for search and social. So we acquired QuickFrame and expanded their focus to TV and to create commercials at a lower cost through this creator network. And the quality is very high. They actually, ironically, had Uber as a customer, and Colgate and a bunch of brands who were mainly using them for social, and it was a natural extension there. We also teamed up with Ryan Reynolds, so Maximum Effort became part of Mountain. Ryan's our Chief Creative Officer. And then at Cannes Lion, we announced generative AI tools. We haven't released them yet. The idea there is we are focused on the creator for the generative AI tool. So I don't think, and I think our team doesn't think that like the average marketer now wants to become a videographer. What they want is they want more creative, but they don't want to increase their creative budget. If anything, they want to decrease it a bit, but they want to get more creative. So our goal with, it's called Viva, our goal with Viva, it's not launched yet, but we did demo it at Cannes, is to look at all of the things done in the video creative process and start lowering the cost of them. We're ironically not that focused on the video itself. We're focused on the things you tend to edit. So we talked about like having different voiceovers on an ad, and you should have voiceovers on your ad, at least for performance. Well, generative audio is in a much further along state than generative video. So you can do fully generative audio and just be like, have 5 versions of the audio, things like that. So we're mixing stock photography with partnerships with a lot of generative startups around, and some of them are video, but audio, generative scripting. So often you're like, what should the ad be? And the whole goal is to just bring down that cost so that you then can get more video. So I actually think that generative AI, at least in that arena, is actually going to create jobs. Sure. Because anytime you lower the cost, you'll increase demand. And we don't think the demand is going to be filled like by a computer on its own. It's not likely in the next, certainly 5 years, maybe you can go out 10 years, that you're just going to type in what you want to add to be. The computer's going to generate, and it'll be, let's throw $100,000 at that. With no editing, you're just going to go for it. And you're not violating any copyrights. And, the one job that's going to create is jobs for lawyers, of course. Mm-hmm. And so, again, our goal is let's make video professionals way more productive. Yeah. That way, people in this room can get more video at a lower cost. That's our goal, as opposed to let's turn everyone in this room into a videographer. Right. Which I don't think is like anyone is that interested in signing up for.
No, it's going to take humans. It's going to take skilled, leveling up the skill sets across the board.
I will say we use ChatGPT. If you get an outreach email from Mountain in the last 2 or 3 months, chances are it was written by ChatGPT.
And when you have meetings with Ryan Reynolds, is it really Ryan or is it Gen AI Ryan?
He likes to turn on his camera, luckily.
Okay, good.
Although we wrote a press release, we want to see how good ChatGPT was, so we had to write a press release. The press release was actually really well written. It was better written than my press did. And then we said, we told ChatGPT, now write on Ryan Reynolds' voice, and it did it was a funny press release.
Right.
It was shocking how good it was.
Wow. Any more questions for Mark about the industry, about where we're going? Got one more back here. The mic is coming over.
I'm glad everyone willing to raise their hand.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good crowd.
What's the difference in buying through Mountain versus like a trade desk?
So Trade Desk is a platform for media buyers in an agency. The goal is to lower the cost of the media. It's not outcome oriented. So we don't ever compete with Trade Desk. For Mountain, our platform is entirely based on what's the goal you're trying to hit. If it's a revenue goal, a lead goal, a traffic goal, and so there's no media buyer involved, and this is a platform you, as your marketing team, can use directly. Generally, Trade Desk is going to be used by your agency, unless you're a very, very large brand and you essentially have an internal agency. So it's just we're in like two totally different lanes. We're focused on, our end user is the marketer, we're focused on performance marketing. Trade Desk's end user is the media buyer in the agency, generally for brand advertising campaigns instead of performance campaigns. I'm really good friends with Jeff Green, the co-founder CEO of Trade Desk. We've actually partnered with Trade Desk in the past, so we don't compete literally at all. We're kind of it's like Tesla doesn't really compete with Porsche, right? Like they're both in the car market, but they're going after two entirely different sectors. That's how you can think of Mountain and us. We're focused on outcome-based advertising, for direct response, and the Trade Desk is focused more on brand campaigns and digitally enabling your brand advertising campaigns.
Are you saying the difference because your ability to report out on lower conversion rates?
Yeah, it's a combination of factors. So one is we have additional layers of technology. You can't hit outcomes. You can't, if a brand says I need a 3-to-1 return on ad spend, for every 100,000 spent, I need 300,000 in revenue. Because I'm a direct-to-consumer brand that, to make the economics of my business work, that takes fully automated media buying. Like you set up the campaign as the marketer, but you're not there cutting deals with the TV network. It's all fully automated bidding, fully automated targeting, fully automated frequency caps. Like all of these factors that drive the performance are done for you in our platform, in Meta's platform, Google's platform, Amazon's platform. And so with Trade Desk, it's more reach and frequency. So it's the media buyer's right in the middle of that, because the goal is not the outcome. The goal is the reach and frequency on the brand, which is a very valid goal. Mountain does brand advertising also, but we don't measure revenue against the brand. That's a different goal. So we add that technology plus the targeting, plus the measurement, the conversion, the integration. 99% of our customers are using Google Analytics as a third-party analytics solution. We're fully integrated into Google Analytics. Trade Desk is not. And it's because we just have two totally different customer bases. We focus on two totally different things. Cool.
Great. Well, Mark Douglas, really appreciate the time, President and CEO of Mountain. I hope you guys all got some good takeaways, some good information. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. Dessert is over here. Main stage back at 2:10. And thanks so much, Mountain, for your partnership.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Mark.